this could be perfect for the Edmonton Oilers, as help could be on the way in an area that needs more help than you think, as we recap last night's loss against the Colorado Avalanche at Rogers Place, as the Oilers looking more forward to the international break than anybody else. All that more today on Oilers Digest. But first, we are 11 subscribers away from 2,700, on the way to 3,000. If you haven't done so already, make sure you do so, as yes, not only the Oilers content, but throughout the Four Nations Face-Off, we will cover all three Oilers who will be representing their countries at the tournament. Victor Arvidsson and Mattias Ekholm for Team Sweden, and yours truly, Connor McDavid, number 97, the assistant captain for Team Canada, for the Four Nations Face-Off. But let's get into the recap, folks. Colorado low, yes, last night the Colorado Avalanche on the second half of a back-to-back after beating the Calgary Flames on Thursday night. They didn't look like the team that was on the second half of a back-to-back. Looked like the Oilers were, but the Oilers, after a day rest after their back-to-back road trip throughout the Midwest, and it ended in heartbreak for the Edmonton Oilers as they dropped it 5-4 to the Colorado Avalanche. A game in the first period that looked like it was going to be a shootout all night long there, as it was 3-2 Colorado after one, with 2 goals from them, from Nathan MacKinnon and Cale Makar, making it 2-1, as Leon Draisaitl split in between there with his 39th of the year for the Oilers on the power play. 6 seconds into the power play, I should add, off of a set play off the draw from Ryan Nugent-Hopkins there, and then Corey Perry, the Worm, making it 2-2 from Adam Henrique in Kesper captain. Big fan of that Perry Henrique in captain line for the Oilers. They spent a limited amount of time together, but they have been very, very productive. And then Ontario Lehkonen on a partial breakaway there, making it 3-2 Oilers. And at that point, Stuart Skinner, he was pulled in favor for Calvin Pickard, and you can see there Stuart Skinner has an .879 save percentage in the first period this season. Going back to the scoring summary here, Cale Makar from Parker Kelly off, I'll admit it, a very egregious Evan Bouchard turnover on the power play. He tried to do that draw pass to Connor McDavid, and Parker Kelly read that like a book, and he added to the Colorado lead. But the Oilers tied things up with yet another goal from Corey Perry from the second unit on the power play. Found a way to squeak it past Mackenzie Blackwood, and then Leon Draisaitl from his knees picking up his own rebound with his 40th of the year. And all looked said and done for both teams as they were trying to, get this into overtime one way or another, but John Klingberg loses his man there in Martin Necas, and Martin Necas makes it 5-4 Colorado with 4 and a bit of change to play in the third period, and it would end up being the game-winning goal. Yes, Martin Necas in the Mikko Rantanen trade, making instant chemistry there with Nathan MacKinnon. But for Kris Knoblauch in Stuart Skinner, his thoughts on, pulling Stuart Skinner, as he hasn't done that since the opening game of the season. Yes, back in October against the Winnipeg Jets. He said, I don't think he had much opportunity on the third one, but made a nice save at the end of the period. But the first 2, I felt like he could have had. Picks has been winning us a lot of games, and we needed a little boost for our team. He has a pretty good record of late, and felt he could come in and do the job. And yes, for the most part, in relief, Calvin Pickard, not a bad job. Of course, he wasn't expecting to come into this game at all last night, and of course, against an offensive powerhouse in the Colorado Avalanche, I think Pickard held his own, and no ill will towards Pickard at all. But of course, Stuart Skinner, you never know what you're going to get. He is the box of chocolates on this Oilers team. It could be a lights out Stuart Skinner, or it could be 3 goals allowed on 11 shots in the first period, Stuart Skinner, and that latter one is what we got. But the Avalanche looked like they wanted a little bit more last night compared to the Oilers, who were looking forward to the international break. They had their chances, they had their glimmers of hope, but again, Colorado, they had their opportunities, and they pounced on them whenever they could, except for a 5-on-3 in the third period. And the Oilers managed to kill that off, but couldn't gain any offensive momentum off of that, and that's something you really hate to see. Of course, you kill a huge 5-on-3. You'd expect something after that, but of course, it was Colorado who themselves took advantage of a key Oiler mistake in the third period. But the Oilers, again, the hockey stat card here. Corey Perry, phenomenal game, one of the best Oilers on the ice last night. Of course, I have to mention again that Perry Henrique in captain line. Jeff Skinner, that line with him, Draisaitl in Podkolzin, phenomenal yet again. But of course, going down to the bottom of the chart here. Of course, Nurse and Klingberg didn't have that strong of a game. TCM are Connor Brown, Victor Arvidsson, who, of course, he scored last game against the Chicago Blackhawks. But since then, just been falling over the ice. I don't know exactly what Victor Arvidsson does. Hopefully, the Four Nations face-off in Team Sweden revitalizes his game a little bit. But other than that, Victor Arvidsson, not exactly as advertised for this Oiler team so far this season. But again, Connor McDavid, of course, he's allowed a few off games, but he's looked super off. It'd be nice if he took the Four Nations face-off off to, get some rest, get some well-needed rest. Of course, the Oilers room has been battling an illness, but I'm sure he couldn't turn down national pride at all. But looking at the game stats here, Colorado, I want to say dominating. They took over the shots on goal counter, 31-27. Won one more face-off than the Oilers, 30-29. But of course, it all came down to the power plays. Now, of course, Colorado went 1 for 5, but their one power play goal came on their first power play. And of course, the Oilers, in their last 5 kills before killing off the other 4, they gave up a goal in those kills. So again, the Oilers penalty kill, it's been strong so far this season, but they've had a really, really dry stretch. So hopefully they can use the break to again get some more rest. That's really what you need. But the Oilers, that 2 for 4 looks a bit unconvincing there. Of course, their one power play goal with the main unit came 6 seconds into the power play, and then the second power play goal, the one that Corey Perry had, it came after a minute and a half of lackluster Oiler play in the Avalanche zone. Not too sure what is exactly up with that Oilers power play, but for the Colorado Avalanche, of course, again, capitalized on every Oiler mistake. And when it came to the expected goals, you're digging a little bit deeper into the analytics. You can see there all but 2 Colorado Avalanche players on the left side of the expected goals percentage. So, of course, Colorado, not exactly a team known for the depth, but everyone was chipping in last night. Of course, on the right side there, you had the depth guys for the Oilers, Henrique Kapanen, Pye Colson, even Kulak and Eberson and Corey Perry. But the lower half of the chart there, you can see Jonathan Drouin and Parker Kelly, the only Avalanche players in this photo. Meanwhile, a majority of the Oilers in the expected goals chart. I know expected goals aren't everything, but, it's an indicator of your offense for that given night. Of course, the Oilers did score 4 goals, and 4 goals most nights should get you a win, but other than that, goaltending can really sink you with Stuart Skinner there. Ever since the shutout against the Los Angeles Kings before that Colorado game at the bottom of the screen, again, not very stellar, except for, the Buffalo win. But, of course, that's Buffalo. Should get a win against Buffalo with a 951, but, of course, a lot of disappointment within. Of course, Colorado won with an 880. Vancouver lost with an 889. A 786 against the Washington Capitals, a game which the Oilers should have had. Of course, the Detroit game, you can kind of cut him some slack for that one. 943 is Alex Lyon, who outplayed him with a 951. But the last couple of games, they're against Toronto, St. Louis, in Colorado. Again, looking at the right side of the screen, their save percentage, he is a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get, and you're going to say to me, okay, well, every goalie isn't extremely consistent. But yes, with Stuart Skinner, on the caliber of team that is, consistent goaltending is all the Oilers need, and that's all they really needed last year to win the cup. But Kris Knoblauch, he's not putting it all on the goaltending, but it was the ability to respond for the Oilers. The goals that we gave up early in the game, we were able to respond, but I think we had every opportunity to win that game after that 5-on-3 kill. We had some great scoring chances going the other way. We didn't capitalize on those, and then they had some good chances shortly after that they did capitalize on. But for the Oilers, the break is coming at a good time. There's been an illness running circles around the Oilers locker room for weeks now, and its effects were on full display Friday night. This last month has been far from easy for the team because of it. One way it's played out is poor starts for the Oilers. In their 17 games since the new year, they've given up the first goal 9 different times. They've still managed a 12-5-1 record in that time, one of the league's best, mind you, but chasing games early is never a key to long-term success, and that's exactly it's for the Oilers. Of course, when they're always going down 1, 2, 3-0 early in games, it's demoralizing for the rest of the game when you need your big guns to play big minutes in order to chase the game. Because, of course, when you're throwing out your depth guys out there, sure, maybe a goal would be nice, but they are just, minute munching for the top guys to get a little bit of rest before hopping back out there. So for the Oilers, sure, the challenge is nice most nights, but not every night when you're always going down multiple goals before you actually kick in and say, hey, let's get going here, folks. But even Leon Draisaitl pointing out the Oilers' ability to play so far these past couple weeks. He said, I didn't love our game the last couple nights. Maybe it's a little bit of fatigue kicking, or mentally we weren't as sharp as we needed to be, but I think the break comes at a right time for once, and obviously get back to playing collectively good hockey when we get back. And he couldn't have said it any better myself. Of course, Leon Draisaitl, a leader in the locker room, not one to mince words. And when he has feelings, he tells you his feelings. But for the Oilers, again, 2-week break should be nice. But let's take a look at what's on the horizon. Yes, time to reset here for the Oilers, and there's time for the Oilers to potentially get some help on the trade market. And like I mentioned, the problem with Stuart Skinner could be alleviated with this move. Pierre LeBrun says, I do believe John Gibson from the Anaheim Ducks would waive his no-trade clause to go to Edmonton. So there's that, but it sure doesn't sound like Bowman sees goaltending as an area of concern. I'm not too sure what game Stan Bowman was watching last night, but hopefully his area of concern in goaltending was peaked just a little bit to go, maybe that could help us. But for, John Gibson, there's no reason why the Anaheim Ducks shouldn't trade him. Sure, he's a little bit older, but Lucas Dostal is the future of the franchise in the crease in Anaheim, so it would be criminal for John Gibson to steal more games from him within the crease. But you can see there, John Gibson top 6 in goals saved above expected there. So it would be a huge get for the Edmonton Oilers. I know many are saying, John Gibson, he's old, he's injury prone, but he hasn't played it in an environment that he's thrived in since 2018, 2019, when the Anaheim Ducks last made the playoffs. And John Gibson, again, when your team doesn't make the playoffs for that long, when you've been known to that level of success, of course, since when John Gibson came in, the Ducks were, cup contenders for a numerous amount of years there, but the Ducks haven't been that strong. But he could be revitalized in Edmonton, much like this other goalie, Dwayne Rollison, in 2005-06 with the Minnesota Wild, with a record of 6-17-1, a 9-10 in a 3 goals against average. So this could be Rollison part 2 there, an older goalie needing a new environment to thrive. Come on, Bowman, get your Rollison. That is exactly what every Oiler fan is wanting, or most Oiler fans anyways, the one that want an upgrade in goalie. Now, I'm not saying, throw Stuart Skinner to the curb here. We just need somebody to challenge Skinner between the pipes every single night to make him that much better. I know we're having the goalie conversation again. I know what you're thinking. It's like, I can't believe we are having this conversation again. But for the Oilers, that is the main thing they need. Sure, maybe another scoring winger, help in the bottom 6, but goalie, just get a goalie stand. That is all we want. But we will not see the Oilers until February 22nd against the Philadelphia Flyers. It'll be an early one for you Albertans, 12 o'clock Central, 11 a.m. Mountain Time. But that's not it for hockey involving the Oilers. Yes, February 12th, this upcoming Wednesday, Canada, Sweden, Ekholm and Arvidsson versus McDavid at 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Central, 6 o'clock Mountain there on Sportsnet. Should be a fantastic one, folks. I know what you're thinking. It's like, why can't they just get rest? But when national pride is on the line, it's hard not to cheer for Canada, right? But that is it for today's video. We will have lots of Four Nations and Oilers coverage during the break, so have no fear. Oilers Digest is here for any and all Oiler news. But let me know what you think about last night's game, and would you want John Gibson between the crease, or between the pipes in the crease for the Edmonton Oilers? I know my excitement is getting to me, but let me know your thoughts down in the comments, and make sure to subscribe here to the channel. That is it for today, folks. Have yourselves a fantastic weekend. Let's go Oilers, and let's go Canada. Take care. I'm Matt.